Once upon a time, Stefanos Tsitsipas was considered to be the next world number one. Fast forward 4 years from then, and although having an extremely successful career, Tsitsipas seems to have hit a wall that at least for now he cannot get past. His results in the last 3 or 4 months have been very poor for his standards, and when 1 or 2 years ago he was possibly the best player behind the big three and Medvedev on hard courts, he has a lot of players catching up, and it looks like his position in the top 10 could be threatened in this second part of the season. So what has exactly happened with Tsitsipas's game? Is he playing worse? Are just many more players playing better? Is it Badosa who has stolen his heart, but also his mind during matches? Has he lost the ambition after many years of success? Well, in my opinion, it might be a little bit of everything. I'm not going to comment too much on the first part of the season, as until the French Open, Tsitsipas was quite consistent, and when you look at his losses, they always came against a top player or a player who caught fire throughout the tournament. But since the grass season started, Tsitsipas has accumulated only 10 wins and 7 losses. A quite concerning record, even though Tsitsipas has always struggled on the grass. And you gotta say that his campaign at Wimbledon was very decent as he beat Dominic Thiem and Andy Murray, who were both tricky matches. He then won a 250 in Mexico, playing some very good tennis, you gotta say, but after that his level has been quite disappointing, with losses against Monfils, Hurkacz, and now Dominic Stricker at the US Open. And after the loss, Tsitsipas has ended his coach-player relationship with Marc-Philippe Poussis, who literally became his head coach just some weeks ago. That just goes on to tell you that pieces are not falling into place when it comes to his team. A lot of people have been talking throughout the years of how he should have a head coach that's not his father, but that hasn't lasted long. So it seems like Tsitsipas is not an easy guy to coach, or at least he doesn't have much patience if the results do not come up fast. So what is exactly happening with Stefanos Tsitsipas? Well, when you look at his matches, you can't say he's playing very badly, but like I said before, a lot of upcoming players are raising their level, and in today's game, with just a little dip in your level, you can lose against so many of these guys. So it's not like Tsitsipas is in very bad form, but he has lost a bit of his consistency, and that is enough to lose to so many players in the tour right now. And when they see that you start accumulating losses, that you are losing confidence in yourself, they step on the court really believing that they can beat you. They don't doubt themselves as much in those important moments, where normally the top players have an edge, but in this case you can tell that Tsitsipas has lost confidence in that department. It's very rare to see him lose a match where he was serving for it, but that is exactly what happened at the US Open against Stricker. So like I've just mentioned, many players raising their level is a big factor. Also, it has caught my attention how Tsitsipas, especially throughout that grass season, tried to change a little bit his mindset when going on the court. Normally when you look at him play, he's super intense. He always has that focused look where he seems to be completely within himself. But he mentioned in some interviews how he really admired how Alcaraz carried himself on the court, and that he was going to try and focus the game a little bit more like Alcaraz, trying to enjoy more the game. And you could see that in many of his matches he was behind in the score, and still Tsitsipas seemed very relaxed and smiling on the court, something that you would never see before, especially when he's behind on the score. But this approach didn't seem to help him very much, at least in terms of results, and it's very difficult to make such a radical change. So I mentioned before that maybe Tsitsipas has lost a little bit his ambition. I don't think that's the case. I mean, maybe his relationship with Badosa has taken more of his attention, but still I think Tsitsipas is trying new things. He's trying to add pieces to his team, but at least as of now, things are not falling into place. Another big factor is not only the rise of many players in the tour, but the rise of the one and only Carlos Alcaraz, who seems to be Tsitsipas's worst nightmare on the court. The Spaniard has already got a 5-0 head-to-head with Tsitsipas, and the last 2 matches were an absolute beatdown. So when 1 or 2 years ago, clay was the best surface for Tsitsipas to get good results, he's now got a guy on the tour who absolutely destroys him in that surface. Between him and Djokovic, who accumulates 10 straight victories against Tsitsipas, I think it's very difficult for him to really believe that he can be the best player in the world, when maybe 1 or 2 years ago, reaching that number 1 spot seemed realistic for Tsitsipas. Now it seems almost impossible. Another factor, and some people might hate me for this, but I see it every time he faces a top player, is his one-handed backhand. It is clearly the weakest part of his game, and every time I see him play against a top player, his one-handed backhand is the clear target. When he plays against lower ranked players, his opponents do struggle to find that backhand, and Tsitsipas is an absolute killer with that forehand. But players who have really good cross-court backhands, like Djokovic, Medvedev, Sinner, or Alcaraz, they're able to take a lot of pressure from themselves when they find that backhand. And I think this is a problem that is always going to be there. I mean, of course you can work on that backhand, you can bet his one-handed backhand is bad, but it is clearly the weakest part of his game, and that is very visible when he's playing against top players. So what does the future hold for Stefanos Tsitsipas? What do I think his career is gonna look like? The big question, will he win a Grand Slam? Well, we've seen Tsitsipas for some years be in the top 5, winning Masters 1000 titles, and twice be only one step away from a Grand Slam title. Well, he's only 25 years old, so he's probably barely midway through his career, so he's got a lot of time to why not search for that #1 spot. But in my opinion, I think Tsitsipas will not win a Grand Slam title in his entire career. And I think right now it's easy to agree with me, as he's been having bad results lately, and it's difficult right now picturing him winning a Grand Slam, because pieces are not falling into place. But trying to get ahead of time, even if all the pieces fall into place, and let's say Tsitsipas plays as good as he's ever played, the level of many other players is gonna be up there as well. And he's got so many young players that are gonna be there competing with him until the day he retires. Rune, Alcaraz, Sinner, Fritz, Rublev, Zverev, Medvedev. The guy has a lot of tough matchups to worry about. I don't know, I see a lot of people in the internet lately saying that this is the new weak era, but I think the level of the tour is as high as it's ever been, and even players who are unseeded in tournaments are extremely dangerous nowadays. So to win a Grand Slam, Tsitsipas would probably need to beat multiple of these players that I've just mentioned in the same week at the best of 5 sets, something that seems very difficult at the moment. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comments, what do you think about Stefanos Tsitsipas and his future? Will he be a Grand Slam champion one day? Will he be world #1? Leave me your thoughts down in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you would like to enjoy more original tennis content of this style. I will probably be posting another video this US Open, so make sure to stay tuned for that one. All of that said, I hope I see you guys in my next video. Peace!